not completely injured, but some players like Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, all of these guys, I mean, gals, will be game time decisions. Now, with that being said, we ultimately know what happened last year with the Indiana Fever, man. Injuries was the plague of the season last year and lack of transparency from the front office. So hopefully they do a better job here with giving us some type of, you know, communication where it makes sense for everybody. Now, with all that being said, let's check out what
the Indiana Fever are set to face the New York Liberty in their first preseason matchup of the season, and both sides have been making noise in the lead-up to the game. New York Liberty head coach Chris DeMarco sat down with media ahead of the contest and shared his thoughts on what he wants from his group going into the game. When asked what kind of statement the team could make this preseason, DeMarco kept expectations grounded. With only 4 or 5 days together, he acknowledged the roster would make plenty of mistakes, but said the focus was simply on competing hard and doing the right things within the system. He was willing to accept the errors as long as the effort was there.
You know, communication where it makes sense for everybody. Now, with all that being said, let's check out what Chris DeMarco had to say about the Indiana Fever as he get ready to prepare for this new look team, man.
The team can make through this preseason pair. A good statement.
It's just playing hard. It's going to be effort. We're going to screw up so many things, and we've only been here 4 or 5 days, and new players, new teammates for the ones who've been here, and it's a lot. And it's going to be a lot for Indiana as well. So I just want to see us playing hard and trying to do the right things, and we'll live with all.
On the topic of progress in training, DeMarco pointed to communication as the biggest area of growth. Early on, players were hesitant because they were still figuring out coverages and assignments. As that understanding developed, more voices started showing up on the floor. Rather than crediting one specific player for driving that culture, DeMarco said the improvement had been collective. Every person in that gym had stepped up vocally. A question came up about Han, who stands at 6'11" and is believed to be the tallest player in the WNBA this season.
Well, so I just want to see us playing hard and trying to do the right things, and we'll live with all those mistakes.
What's the biggest area of progress you've seen in training?
I just think the communication has been great. I think early on, like we might not have had the confidence to know what we're in, like coverage-wise on defense or on offense, where we're supposed to go. So as we've become better at grasping all of that, like more people are talking. So the communication piece has really improved.
Have there been any players that have taken that initiative and like really gotten the concepts quickly and are helping with some of that leadership?
DeMarco was clearly impressed, saying he had gone back and watched roughly 15 to 20 of her Perth games. He described her as a high IQ player who understands the moment, someone who can score when the team needs buckets, move the ball when it does not, and bring a consistent motor every time she steps on the floor. When pressed on the offensive identity of the team, DeMarco pushed back slightly on the term positionless basketball, calling it an oversimplification. The real idea behind what the Liberty are building is ball and player movement, where anybody can handle the pick and roll and nobody is locked into a single function. He called it a family offense, an approach built around sharing, creating for each other, and keeping the ball alive.
I think it's the entire group has. Yeah, the entire group. But there isn't one player I was like, wow, like they've really gotten it over anybody else. I think it's been, everybody in that room, everybody on the court right now has been pretty vocal.
Pretty sure Han at 6'11" is the tallest WNBA player this season, at least. What have you thought about her game and the way that she's been moving?
She's really smart. She's a smart player. She has a high IQ. Probably watched 15, 20 of her Perth games.
DeMarco's hiring drew mixed reactions from around the league, with many noting that the departure of Sandy Brondello left a significant void. Brondello had drawn strong interest from multiple franchises after her exit, which raised questions about whether letting her go would come back to hurt New York. Those questions are unlikely to be answered this early, but the pressure on DeMarco and the organization to perform is real. On the Indiana side, the Fever's front office released a full training camp video that gave fans their first extended look at the team assembling for the new season. Stephanie White was front and center on the court, which stood out given how rarely she had been visible in coaching footage during stretches of last year.
Probably watched 15, 20 of her Perth games. She understands like the moment in the game. She's if her team needs her to score, she scores. She's also a good passer. She has a high motor, so we've been really impressed. But it's also credit to her for improving the way she has, since she's been here last.
How much do you expect tomorrow's lineup to mirror what we're going to see on night one, or is it just kind of...
Yeah, I have to get with performance and see who's available and how many minutes and all that, so I would guess it doesn't mirror it, but you never know.
The video captured the energy of the opening day's players reuniting, new additions getting introduced, and the coaching staff setting the standard from day one. White's message to the group centered on discipline, urgency, and collective accountability. She pushed the idea that camp has to be harder than games, that every day carries weight, and that steps cannot be skipped. The team's goal, based on comments from multiple staff members, is to push past last year's semifinal run and position themselves to reach the finals. Home court in the playoffs was named as a direct target, with the belief that winning those early season games in May, June, and July is what makes the difference when elimination games arrive.
So I would guess it doesn't mirror it, but you never know. We'll see.
Are you anticipating Satu's going to play?
I don't know that yet.
Beck Allen called the offense a family-style type offense. I'm just curious if you could explain to us maybe what she might have meant by that or what that means.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of talent, obviously, and we just think the ball has to move. We need ball movement and player movement, and anybody can bring the ball up. Anybody can play pick and roll, and I don't like calling it positionless because it's really not. Like, we still have specifics to it, but I just think...
The roster additions were also highlighted, with the front office noting that several new pieces were players who gave Indiana trouble in previous years, veterans brought in specifically because of their experience and their understanding of what winning looks like at this level. The combination of those additions alongside younger players who already have winning backgrounds was framed as the formula for taking the next step. One face that stood out in the footage was Kelly, who had been noticeably absent from public-facing content for a stretch. Her appearance in the video, visibly energized and engaged, drew attention from fans who had been wondering about her status heading into the new year. The broader mood coming out of both camps is one of high expectations mixed with genuine uncertainty, New York navigating a coaching transition while Indiana tries to put last year's injury-riddled, communication-challenged season firmly behind them.
We still have specifics to it, but I just think our goal as a coaching staff and our goal as a team is for us to share the ball and pass it and move and create opportunities for each other. And to me, that's family offense.
Coach Beck, when you were introduced in December, you said you wanted...
Now, a lot of people felt the type of way when Chris DeMarco got named the head coach of the New York Liberty. We ultimately know Sandy Brondello was let go and quickly, vigorously became a high target for a lot of WNBA teams.
The Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty preseason matchup has generated some buzz, but the realistic expectation heading in is a fairly one-sided contest in the Fever's favor. The previous meetings between these two franchises were not close double-digit blowouts, games that could have gotten even uglier than the final margin suggested. What complicates the picture for Indiana is the injury report. Aaliyah Boston is out. Lexi Hull is out.
So I feel like if it's one team that got a lot to prove, it's the New York Liberty, bro. Like, them firing Sandy Bordello could turn around and be an Achilles heel for them. And, I don't know, but we just got to wait and see how everything play out. But this is the video that the Indiana Fever admins put out last night.
Excited to get going, y'all. Okay, let's have
Listen,
Ty Harris is out. That absence cluster opens up meaningful playing time for Mo Billings at the 5, expanded roles for KK, Timpson, and Raven Johnson. At least one of those players is unlikely to make the final roster, and a couple of others are not going to see heavy minutes once the regular season begins. But that is precisely the point of a game like this. The fringe players need reps, and the one genuine question worth watching on Indiana's side is the battle between KK Timpson and Justina Terry for that backup big spot.
Why is this suddenly in League Pass? I'm trying to see if I can find the actual breakdown for this game. So, if you guys don't know, again, with this game here, you've got, obviously, nothing there in games charts. Okay, it looks kind of cool. But the Indiana Fever have no Aaliyah Boston. The Indiana Fever have no Lexi Hull and no Ty Harris, which means
that competition is the most functionally important thing this game can answer. New York has its own absences to contend with. Satu Sabali is not playing. Betnija Laney is out.
Hull and no Ty Harris, which means major minutes for like Mo Billings at the 5. Major minutes for KK, major minutes for Timpson, major minutes for Raven Johnson. One player who will probably not make the team, and two players who will not play many minutes are going to play a lot of minutes today. And it's one of those things where I think it is important that kind of weaker players end up getting some more minutes.
Raquel Carrera is not there either. Maureen Fahu is absent as she works her way back from an ACL tear. The Liberty's roster for this game is a patchwork of players auditioning for spots and contributors who will not be around once the real games start. The one name worth genuine attention on New York's side is Han Shu, a 6'11" center who has the tools to be one of the better backup bigs in the league.
End up getting some more minutes, because if we're being completely real, like wins and losses don't really matter, but we do need to see. I think it is important for the Fever to see who is better, KK Timpson or Justine Bissot for that spot. Genuinely, that is a big one for New York Liberty. My expectation is, I don't even know. I actually don't even really know what.
There is no pressure to perform here. Last preseason, Clark logged around 23 minutes against Atlanta when the Dream ran a full court press at her. That kind of exposure is exactly what Indiana will want to avoid repeating. Not because of any physical concern, but because of what it reveals. That brings up the broader strategic question surrounding this game.
What my expectation is in general. Because obviously Satu's out. Beck Allen's out. Raquel Carrera is not there. So there's a lot of people, a lot of players that are coming out and are going to be there for the game and aren't going to make the squad. And there's other players that are going to make the squad that aren't here. Like Maureen Fahu's not playing because she's just back from an ACL tear. I'm interested to see.
The Fever are not expected to show much of anything in terms of scheme or sets. Last season, the coaching staff was fairly transparent in training camp, and preseason opponents had a clear picture of Indiana's offensive structure from practically game 1. Atlanta knew exactly how to get the ball out of Clark's hands and ensure it never came back to her. The full court press worked because the offense had no reliable mechanism to re-involve her once she gave it up.
I'm interested to see Hanju from them. Like, I'm very interested to see how Hanju at 6'11" gets on in a WNBA setting. I think that that is probably one of the big things, because Hanju is a player that is legitimately, like, has the potential to be one of the like best backup bigs. And I want to see how she gets on. For the Indiana Fever, if you're looking for questions, obviously Mo Billings and MHA at center, and can Justine Bissot survive? That really is it. How many minutes do I expect from Caitlin Clark? I would say, I'm going to be real, I'd say maybe 15, 20. I don't see her playing above 20. I really, really don't see her playing above 20 minutes in this game. You're playing above 20 minutes in this game. I think it's possible. Don't think it's likely. I think they're going to really reduce her minutes. I think we're going to see her playing, running up and down a little bit. I think she's going to shoot a bunch of logo threes. I think if Caitlin Clark's stat line is 12 points, 6 assists, fine. And that's all you're kind of hoping for. Like even last year, I just want to see Fever versus Dream. Here, I just want to see Fever versus Dream. Because, like, the Liberty aren't going to do it. But the Fever last year in the Dream full court presser in preseason. And if you're looking, Caitlin Clark played 23 minutes against the Dream. And she played around the same in Iowa. So you're like, you don't want her playing 23. Just play everybody. It really doesn't matter. Go play everybody. At this stage, when they played the Dream preseason, they'd already cut Bree Hall, I think. But yeah.